Coming up, a Sad Styles production. Get into it!
You might think that a game based on a movie based on a book would be dead on arrival, but this week, life finds a way as we look back at 1993's SNES hit Jurassic Park. Welcome to the Retrograde, the podcast where we remind you what you used to love and whether or not you still should.
My name's Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Rex Aaronworth.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay. Have we done any Jurassic Park on this podcast yet?
Have we done any Jurassic Park? I mean, it's always kind of an undertone. Mm-hmm. It's always informing whatever it is we're talking about.
Absolutely. It's like the Holy Spirit. It's always with us.
Yeah. always with us. No, but I don't think we've done a video game.
Oh, that's
Unless
exciting.
You consider Joe and Mac a precursor to Jurassic Park.
Well, I guess everything is kind of a precursor before 1994 to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you think of a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh,
the
really?
Weird butterfly effects and the multiversal. It's
yeah.
like, maybe if Joe...
Multiverse is so hot right now.
It's
Everyone's
so
talking
hot.
about multiverses.
It's like Hansel in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's so hot right now.
So hot right now.
It's talking about Hansel.
We should get a new Zoolander movie.
Oh, yeah. The second one went so well.
It went so well. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. If you're out there listening, this is the Retrograde podcast. Typically what we do is we take a look back at the games that we used to play when we were kids. Usually it's something we had an affinity towards one way or another. We rate and review the game as we remember them when we played them as little baby boys.
Yep.
Then we rate and review the game as they hold up in the modern day against the likes of modern games. Two different scores, but combined. It's the Retrograde.
It's like a Megazord of scores. Once combined, ultimate power.
Megazord was one of my favorite things ever. I spilled orange juice on my Megazord toy when I was a kid, and it was really sticky. Okay. And it never quite recovered.
Was it an electronic toy, or was it just like...
Nope, it was just plastic.
So just sticky.
Just very sticky.
Like you from ages 8 to 13.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
everything in my house and my bedroom. Very, very sticky. My parents didn't know what to do with me.
So obviously we're doing this game because Jurassic Park Dominion is the next Jurassic Park movie and the final of this trilogy, the second trilogy that's coming out.
It's Jurassic World Dominion, I think, right?
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Okay.
There are all these Jurassic movies. Here's the thing, and look,
I believe you.
Yes, we're a video game podcast, and we will be talking about video games moving forward, but because we're focusing on Jurassic Park, I think we want sort of a dinosaur-focused episode this time.
It's the theme.
What are your thoughts on the new Jurassic Park movies or Jurassic World movies? Because I was sitting there in the theaters. I barely made it through Jurassic World.
Right.
And by that, I mean, I couldn't finish it.
Right.
Watching the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion.
Right.
I just couldn't believe this is where we got from Jurassic Park. From Michael Crichton back in all those years ago, writing the book Jurassic Park to this. It just feels like such a stretch. This was never the intention, was it?
Well, I don't know. Artist intention is not for me to decide.
You're very postmodernist.
I am. Yes, absolutely. Death the author. I think it's just more... It is kind of crazy. I always think about the gif of Planet of the Apes where an ape is riding a horse shooting an AK-47. And I feel like if we let the Jurassic Park just keep going, just keep roaming, just much like the T-Rex themselves, we are going to get to a raptor in a boxing match with Chris Pratt or something like that.
Honestly, like we already have, the big thing in Jurassic Park, the original in 1993 was that the raptors knew how to like use doors. They're getting smarter. And now clever girl. And now it's like you can basically communicate with them. Like it's like they're going to go the George A. Romero route of zombies that can now use guns and speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to say what I think about the new trilogy, I don't like them. So
same. I like actively dislike them.
The first one I saw and I was like, oh, okay. There are parts of it that I think are very interesting.
Which parts? Chris Pratt?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And which part of Chris Pratt?
My two eyes on his hot bod is I don't like. Okay. Thing I like, then I'll say what I don't like.
Okay.
Thing I like is that people like they opened the park again. I'm like, look around in the world.
Yes.
We immediately, we just went through a deadly pandemic for 2.5 years and people are still dying from it, but we just ignore it. And then we're just kind of like, I'm going to hang around 50,000 people and go to a baseball game.
100%.
Like, you will forget eventually that you're like, no, a lot of people died the last one. You're like, yeah, but that was the last one. This is the new one.
SeaWorld and Marine, like they're still operational, right? Like we know that these things are wrong and yet they still have, for different, I mean, people aren't dying. Whales are dying.
Whales are dying. The whale's not jumping over the top and killing a bunch of people, then jumping back in.
No, but they are learning how to use AK-47s, and that's the true danger of the situation.
Dolphins riding a seahorse. So Yeah, like I think that part's really good, and like a commentary on like modern society that we're like, yeah, but you know, whatever. It's like the animal's not deadly enough. We need to create a more deadly dinosaur. That all resonated with me.
I have to be honest, you're saying deadly. When you said the deadly pandemic, it sounds like you're saying deli. And when you said deli pandemic, I'm like, there's a buzzword I missed. I guess it's now called a deli pandemic. Reuben sandwiches just scattered all over the floor.
That's an issue with supply chain, Mikey. The deli meats.
The deli meats.
But no, it's I love that, like, it's not deadly enough. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we need a more deadly dinosaur.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, that rings true. I think we would like have to eventually, you know, it's not, the T-Rex wouldn't be enough.
No.
It's also like a message about the movie. You know?
Right. You know what? That's true.
So,
I mean, they've created their own, what did they call the Indominus Rex?
Indominus Rex,
in the
very
form
good.
of Jurassic World.
Nice.
Why do I know that? I don't know. I do remember the scene though where the one guy's explaining what Indominus Rex is in Jurassic World, and he's like something like we've created our own genetic dinosaurs, and it's like audible gasps from everyone in the room. It's like they can be 50 or 60 times stronger than the other ones, and everyone's like, oh
my God, 60.
Yes.
If he said 15, I'd be like, yes, I understand.
That is along the lines of my scientific hypothesis.
Yeah, and then Fallen Kingdom comes is the second movie. Don't worry, I got you. And it's bad, like really bad.
Right.
Other than the one shot of like, so the island kind of kills itself, right? It like collapses into the ocean.
Right.
And the one shot of the like brontosaurus that's on the dock sitting there lonely as the world is crumbling around him, and Chris Pratt has to stare back and go like, oh no. Like thousands of these things are dying.
But that one.
But he made eye contact with that one.
You know what? Chris Pratt is remembering Littlefoot from A Land Before Time.
Land Before Time.
Or
Lil Sebastian from Parks and Rec, which he was on. But yeah.
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 I don't know. Honestly, Jurassic Park, the original, is one of the most phenomenal movies of all time.
That's what I want to talk about, though.
Yes.
Let's not just color this whole thing with the last three movies.
No, and that's why we're going back. Look, there have been a slew of Jurassic Park games.
Yes.
Do you want to get into that now, or do you want
to talk
a little?
Love
to. Let's do that.
Okay. There's one in my head very clearly.
So I didn't realize how many Jurassic Park games there were. I'm going to go over some notable ones, but keep in mind, this is by no means every Jurassic Park video game. All right. You've got Jurassic Park, the 1993 version. This came out on the NES, Game Boy, SNES, Genesis, Game Gear, Sega CD, typically different games, especially between the Sega and Nintendo versions. One was a side scroller, which is not the one that we're doing. That was the Sega version. Okay. And the SNES version, which we'll get into later, is almost like an over-the-top, like, you are Dr. Alan...
what's his name? God damn it.
You are Dr. Alan Grant.
Grant.
Alan Grant. Alan Grant.
That's Sam Neill, right?
Sam Neill, yes. Then there's Jurassic Park, the arcade game, which came out in 1994.
Where you sit in the car with the guns?
I don't think that's the 94 version. Okay. That one came out a little bit later.
That's the one I'm thinking about.
Yes, that's the one everyone thinks about.
I love that
in
one.
Arcade. That was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Light guns.
Light guns. Amazing.
Enough said.
Absolutely. I'm also in the car with the painting of the car, like the bright green and yellow and red. And oh my God. Every once in a while you see a Jeep Wrangler like drive down the street with that. And you're like, first of all, what a commitment that person has made to the rest of their life. It's not like a wrap that they put on for a day. That's everybody's going to be like, you like Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
Well, no, I like Jurassic World. Park was shit.
Goldblum.
All right. Then you've got Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues.
Whoa, what a name.
So chaos, is that a thing that I'm missing in the Jurassic Park universe? Because that word is referenced a couple times throughout the game.
Is it really?
But to me, The Chaos Continues is just like the most generic subtitle for a game that you can possibly have.
Also, the word continues insinuates that there was
never ended.
Yeah, that there was another game called Jurassic Park Chaos.
Well, or you're just like, if you played the original Jurassic Park, and it's like, it's like, that game is full of chaos. Well, you'd be surprised in Jurassic Park 2.
Nothing makes me really... We sit here years after these games have come out. The developers are long dead.
Yeah. Hopefully.
And we sit here, we're like, stupid. Why'd they ever name it like that? And then he's going to be like, alliteration, you stupid idiots.
Yes,
and I'm like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, because we had 2.5 months to make the game, and we didn't want to spend another day on subtitles, you asshole.
I was sleeping about 12 hours a week. I was doing 4 packs of Marlboros a day. You're like, oh, okay.
Like, yeah, we forget we're dealing with a licensed game here, right? And all these games are licensed games. But so let's continue on. The Lost World Jurassic Park came out on Genesis, Mega Drive, PS1, Game Boy, Game Gear, and the R-Zone. Remember the R-Zone? I mentioned the R-Zone before. One of the strangest video game consoles of all time. You put it on over your head, and it had this little eye flip thing, and you looked into it like you were a fucking Borg or whatever those things are.
Yeah, very good.
And I had one as a kid, and they gave me massive headaches all the time, like the Virtual Boy.
We're lucky he didn't blind you, eh?
Who said that?
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, God. He gets like this.
I can only see you if I look at you through my left eye. Yes. Through my right eye, I just see a screen of red. Yeah.
Yes. He also has what is called Cyclops disorder, where a red beam shoots out of his right eye every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Everyone's, he's Cyclops.
You know what pisses me off about that?
I'd love to hear about it.
Everyone who thinks they know shit about Cyclops disorder comes up to me. They're like, hey, I saw this YouTube video where if you just wear ruby glasses, it'll prevent the... Ruby isn't going to prevent a beam of Cyclops from coming out.
That makes no sense.
It demolishes those glasses.
Yeah, it
James Marsden lied to us.
Right, and I think we need to take it back to Jay. Let's find James Marsden. Let's march. Let's protest in front of his house.
That skim milk ass.
Skim milk.
He's just the skim milk of actors.
James Skim Milk Marsden.
You know what I mentioned on the last week's episode that I saw Sonic 2, and there's a scene where James Marsden is playing volleyball on the beach.
Oh, really?
A la Top Gun.
Yeah.
And he's playing against topless men on the other side, and they're all jacked. And it's supposed to be a scene which is like intimidating because it's like, oh, look at all these jacked guys. Conveniently, they have James Marsden in a baggy t-shirt, so you can't see how fucking ripped he is.
Oh yeah, like, I was gonna say he's in very good shape.
That's it, right? But they want him to be like, the lovable guy. Yeah. But he takes his shirt off, and you're like, oh fuck.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I would fuck that skin milk.
Playing with the boys. Yeah, sorry.
So we've got that chaos. So look up the R-Zone if you're not familiar.
Oh yeah. Also, the R-Zone, by the way, sounds like what they would have called the video game area of Blockbuster.
It's what they called the video game area of Toys R Us. The R-Zone.
Is that true?
It's actually that's actually true.
Toys R Us. That makes sense. Yeah.
So you have Chaos Island. There's another Chaos coming
Chaos
back.
Again.
The Lost World. Chaos is back, but now on Windows.
So okay, the Lost World. I'm just gonna. I'll let you continue a second. Yeah. But like we just absolutely just took to task. Excuse me. The sequels of this new trilogy, where the first one people are like, okay, whatever, and then the second two, I assume this third movie with Chris Pratt's gonna be awful,
right?
But Fallen Kingdom was really bad. I think I conveniently do that with the first 3 as well, where I'm like, the original Jurassic Park, what a classic. And they're like, what about the third one? I don't know about that one, man.
I honestly forgot when I was doing my research. I forgot there were 2 other movies.
Isn't it called The Lost World? That's the only reason why.
So. Yeah. So now you have Trespasser, which isn't even called Jurassic Park, but it came out in 1998 on Windows.
Didn't get the license?
It did get the license.
Oh, that's weird.
But they didn't call it Jurassic Park Trespasser. In fact, it had who's the guy who speaks in the nature documentaries?
Richard Attenborough.
Yeah, David Attenborough.
Well, Richard Attenborough is the old man that opens the park.
So they had him. They had him. Yeah. He's in there voicing it. A very ambitious game, an open world. You're in Jurassic Park, first person, but it just was too ahead of its time and it failed.
So, like, the fact that David Attenborough, a nature conservative,
yes,
that just all his whole life is narrating nature documentaries that make you feel compassionate about nature and the environment, so you try and save it.
Yes,
his brother plays a fake one that tries to ruin the world by bringing something back. It's like if I was Arnold Schwarzenegger's brother and I just was a sponsor for Burger King or something like that. Like. By the way, I'm coming up with something here. Tom Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, something like that.
I like that a lot.
I just love that they're brothers, and there's like a Christmas dinner where they're like, "Did you really have to do that?" And he's like,
"It feels kind of like." See, I see a more recent example of Chet Hanks and Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah,
because Tom Hanks is like just the lovable everyone's dad.
Even Colin Hanks, like they're 2 sons.
That's true.
I think from the same parents, and they got to look at each other like, how did my 2 children end up in so different lives?
You know what people are going to hate me for?
Uh-oh.
I'm coming around on Chet Hanks.
Oh, no, Mikey.
I'm coming around. He is so...
Mikey.
So strange that I can't help but watch whatever it is he's doing. He's so weird.
Just don't try and convince me this is some kind of Kaufman-esque character he's playing that is like...
I think there's an element of that.
Oh, my God.
I honestly think there's an element of that.
Do you ever watch Z-Way?
Yes, I saw his interview on Z-Way.
It was great.
And that's what I came around to him on. He's just winking to the camera so often. And so Z-Way, if you're, this is a weird Venn diagram.
Yeah,
An interview, do you know her full name, Z-Way's full name?
I actually forget now.
So it's an interview show where she basically she brings people on and exposes their prejudices and things like that in a funny way.
It's
like
really
it's all very
funny.
playful. And Chet Hanks comes on because he's probably pretty racist.
I also say, I think most of the people she brings on are her friends.
Yes.
So like her making fun of them, it feels very like, if you did that to a stranger, it'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to hit you.
There are a couple episodes though where people like lose their minds at her. They're like, you're my friend. I agreed to do this for you, and you're exposing like all this shit, whatever.
It's always like, it's like on the bottom, like laughs at black pain or something like that. And it's like, what? I didn't say, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
It's so funny.
But so he's on it, and you can tell this is, I don't think he was her friend. And I think he agreed to come on just because she asked, and he's looking for clout, whatever it is. But a couple times during the interview, the people behind the camera start laughing with him. And he's like, I'm getting you. And she's like, guys, don't laugh at him. Like, you just can't help. He's just such a lovable idiot in some ways and despicable in other ways.
He'll probably do very well. That combination of people do very well in life.
It's true.
If you're just charming and affable, you could be saying the worst things in the world. People will be like, ah.
And he's doing the thing that leaves you untouchable, which is refusing to apologize for anything.
That is so true.
Yeah.
If you just, there's a few instances in everyday life of society in the last couple of years where if somebody just doesn't apologize for anything, they never act like they did anything wrong.
100%. And she said, she's like, don't you feel bad about X, Y, and Z? He's like, no. It's just weirdly refreshing to hear that. I'm sure he's awful, but it's weirdly refreshing to hear it.
Yeah, I'm sure if we got into a conversation, I'd be like, oh my God. Like, you're a monster.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nah, I'm not. And you're like, maybe he's not. I don't know.
So the chaos continues, and we continue through this list of games. We have Jurassic Park 3 Dino Defender. That was a 2001 Windows PC game. 2001 also gave us Jurassic Park 3 Danger Zone. And that was more of like a board game in a weird way. Jurassic Park 3 also had an arcade game. Jurassic Park 3 Island Attack on Game Boy Advance. Jurassic Park 3 The DNA Factor on Game Boy Advance. Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder on Game Boy Advance.
Whoa.
Those Game Boy Advance games were Konami games.
Whoa.
And here's my question to you, Andrew. I mean, Konami, obviously great in a lot of ways, but they've also done a lot of licensed games, which didn't end up so fantastic. But here's my question to you. Can you think of another single movie than Jurassic Park 3 that has more video games about it?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Because I honestly don't know. Like, there are 10?
Well, remember, we did Top Gun recently. And remember how many you listed off from that one?
But I guess that makes sense because, it still is one movie, right?
Yeah. I feel like if we really got into like Harry Potter, which is something that you and I don't really care very much for, but is that, like, not that we don't like. Whoa. Hey, everyone relax, okay? Yeah, okay.
I don't like Harry Potter. Love the author, though.
Yeah, love Yeah, and...
have I told you about Chet Hanks?
We've established that Mikey likes two things in this episode: Chet Hanks and J.K. Rowling. Is that I bet you we'd find like all these like weird mobile games and like all these times they license themselves out to like you know what's a subgenre of all this that I'm very fascinated by? Slot machines.
Oh, yes.
People that have licensed themselves out to slot machines. I want to...
Like The Big Bang Theory.
Yes. I took a picture and sent that to you.
It's
Remember
crazy.
That? Yeah. I just want to get a bazinga. Because it was also in the episode of What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. So like those things very fascinating, baby. And I think mobile games are like the new version of that where like they made 30 of these. Like, I don't know how...
And it's just a skin on an existing...
Exactly.
Thing. Like they just like peel off the Big Bang Theory sticker and just slap on a Jurassic Park thing. You're like, I didn't know T-Rex said bazinga. What are we talking about?
Bazinga. Like the lips just don't even fit. Or like some kind of bejeweled version that they just make into whatever. That's a good question. I don't know.
But here's my thing about that. Yes, I bet you Harry Potter as a brand has more video games around it. But this is specific to Jurassic Park 3. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even Top Gun has almost become a brand separate from the movie.
Yes.
But Jurassic Park 3, it's not like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and all of the games based on that. This is specifically Jurassic Park 3 has like 10 licensed games around it for no reason.
Terminator 2. I bet Terminator 2 has got a bunch. Because I can think of like 3 arcade games off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So like because there's that standing shooting machine gun one.
Notorious for being one of the quickest periods between putting quarters in the machine. That game killed you so quickly because it had the machine gun and it didn't care. It wasn't about beating the game. It was about firing a machine gun with haptic feedback.
It was teaching you about what the world of T2 would be like.
Right.
You're going to lose.
You're going to lose all your money.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I hope John Connor comes back from the past.
That's
future.
Future. Well, if you're in the future, then you hope he comes back from the past.
That's also a backstory that has been... There are so many Terminator movies now that I'm like, I've lost the thread of what exactly needs to happen now.
You know what's weird too, and this is a whole
T2.
different thread. Speaking of threads, a whole different T2 of conversations. But I realized 90% of the movies that I watched as a kid, I didn't actually know what was happening.
Oh, I didn't understand.
It was just the action that I was looking at.
Yeah.
Like the subtext or even just the general plot of Terminator. I didn't know what it was. To me, it was a chase sequence between a robot and two people. That was it. That was what the movie was.
For most part, it is.
Yeah.
But like if you really pull it back, I feel the same way about the first Mission Impossible.
Yes.
Where I loved that movie. And then I watched it back and I'm like, oh, I didn't understand at all what was happening.
How did I sit through it as a kid? I wouldn't have understood a clue what was happening. And I bet you Jurassic Park, to me, it was just like, hey, let's watch dinosaurs attack people.
Well, 100%. And I want to bring up one of the games that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Park Builder?
Oh, Park Builder.
Hello.
Dude, so it turns out that park building Jurassic Park games ended up being some of the best Jurassic Park games.
That makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
It's a park that you're building.
It is a comment on kind of the capitalist nature of Jurassic Park, like capitalizing on all this. It's like, you've seen the movie. You know how dangerous it is. Now go do it yourself.
Well, like I love that. What is success in that game? The dinosaurs rampaging and like breaking through of their
it would be great if there were multiple endings.
Yeah.
And one ends up with you as Dinosaur Lord.
And one is sad Brontosaurus sitting on dock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Victory as it like plummets towards this ocean.
So that was all the Jurassic Park 3 games we had there. Then there's also kind of a resurgence of Jurassic Park games around the end of the 2010s or the beginning of the 2010s. You have Jurassic Park the game by Telltale. That came out in 2011, but I guess at that point in time, like what franchise didn't have a Telltale game based on it, right? They bought so many licenses that they buried themselves, right? Like they couldn't afford to stay afloat, even though there were some relatively good games.
Yep.
Lego Jurassic World, and then Jurassic World Evolution in 2018, another business simulator, park simulator type game. So they realized what worked and they stuck with it.
Wow. Huh. Well, I like to quote Goldblum. That's a lot of shit.
It's a big pile of shit or whatever. Yeah.
That's a big pile of shit.
Did you play any of the Jurassic Park games prior to today when we
short of the arcade game? The arcade game is the one that really sticks out in my mind.
Same with me. I didn't play it on the SNES, but it's apparently like a pretty good game. Fairly well received.
Were you a dinosaur kid?
I was absolutely a dino kid. I wanted to be an archaeologist.
Did you? We can add that to the list of jobs child Mikey thought he would do.
Archaeologist was absolutely one of them.
Was it stockbroker?
Stockbroker was the main one, though. Stockbroker is really what I wanted to be.
Boiler Room.
I watched Boiler Room, and I was like, see, like I told you, I didn't really understand the plot of movies. I just saw Giovanni Ribisi and Vin Diesel in suits making calls and making money, and that's all I wanted. I didn't care that a family was crying on the other side of that phone because I was going to make dollars.
I love a 7-year-old Mikey watches Wall Street and walks away going like, that was awesome. And you're like, that's what you got from that?
My first word was gecko.
Yeah. Greed is good. What? Oh, that was weird. But yes, you wanted to be an archaeologist. I want to like trace back if someone much smarter than I will have to like.
I'm here.
Smarter than that. Okay. We'll have to talk about. Yeah.
High order.
Absolutely.
Tall order?
Tall order? Sure. You're really helping your case.
I was just gonna say it.
And talk about like child psychology and why every child is obsessed with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And like trains and trucks, like large things.
That one weirds me out more. Dinosaurs I get because it's like the promise that monsters existed in real life at one point, right?
Yeah. Oh, see, I did need to talk to you about this. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
Now, trucks go honk honk, and that to me, though.
Well, or trains, like trains are really popular, just much like that person on TikTok.
Oh, who was in Toronto recently.
Yes. That was a paid advertisement, but that was good.
Yeah.
Smart,
very smart.
Yep.
Dedicated to Toronto. That's the guy who has the GoPro on his head that films both his eyes and the train outside. It's weird as hell.
Also a Kaufman-esque character that I love.
Him and Chet. Just taking the world by storm.
The partnership everyone needed to see. Train Guy and Chet Hanks.
I loved dinosaurs as a kid. Did you have a favorite dinosaur?
Triceratops.
Oh, cool.
I love Triceratops. I always thought the horns and the helmet at the front kind of thing, like, or like a pad, whatever it is. It's really cool.
You say horns and helmet. My brother, this is a true story. We were talking about dinosaurs and the Stegosaurus.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
He was like, that was, we were talking about dinosaurs and like our favorite ones. And he's like, yeah, what was the one with the armor? And I was like, excuse me? And he's like, the dinosaur with the metal armor. Like it had the
metal.
Right?
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know, Chris, I'm going to say Stegosaurus, but I need you to understand that I don't believe that it has metal on it. He's like, no, it has the armor. It's like the metal.
Yeah.
I'm like, no dinosaur had metal on them ever. And
we're a few thousand years from humans figuring out metal. Tens of hundreds of thousands.
Millions,
yeah, whatever.
And
shows what I know.
He says, fine, not metal, stone.
That's a good compromise. Stone.
As though I'm like looking down at my portfolio like, okay, listen, you drive a hard bargain, but yes, we'll agree on stone.
I won't give you any more shit for saying stone. That's so funny.
He believed it was stone. It was amazing. And to this day, he's not convinced he's wrong.
Well, that also sounds like your brother.
Yes.
Watch Jackass for more of these conversations. Co-host on Jackass. I will say, though, the only thing that's bummer about dinosaurs and what we knew then and like what Jurassic Park kind of gave us is like every time you're like, everything in Jurassic Park is almost wrong. I'm like, hey, shut up.
Right.
Like all these dinosaurs. What is your favorite dinosaur? That kind of conversation we're having. It's like, and none of those dinosaurs exist. I'm like, hey, shut up. Yeah. I'm good with that. I don't need to know that.
Look at what Steven Spielberg did to the universe.
Yes.
And by that, I mean the center of it, which is Earth. In terms of our fear of sharks, our understanding of dinosaurs
and aliens.
Yeah. Like legitimately one person, and the whole team behind him of talented, a couple talented people, whatever, but mainly him. Did you say mainly him? Speaking of what a T-Rex would do to you.
God, I know. No, it's incredible.
It's just informed so much of our understanding of what they look like, what they sound like, how they move.
Yeah, I know.
Everything.
It's like not, we could get off this movie and we can get back to the video game here, but like it is nothing short of remarkable than that original movie, that it's almost all practical and looks so good. And the biggest thing I can't get away from, and so like you tell me they look different and they're birds.
Apart from the T-Rex. That's a big thing you can't get away from.
100%. But that movie proved that over and over again. Is that you could tell me they're birds, you could tell me their names are different, they look different, whatever. I'll believe you. That's great. Don't tell me that the T-Rex doesn't scream like that, because that is the most perfect noise. It's like 12 animals put into one.
Yes.
I love that story, and it's so terrifying.
Right.
That I'm like, you can tell me that's all wrong. That's true.
That's
I don't
true.
care what anyone says.
And raptors are twice this. Raptors are 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
At least in Toronto they are, actually.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Starting centers.
Because apparently they're like 3 feet. Like raptors were super
like
small. Yeah, like they're like little chickens. Look at all these chickens.
Look at all these T-Rex.
Very different movie if all the raptors are 3 feet tall. Hey, bud, give me that pudding or the Jell-O.
I know.
How about no?
You know what? But they would be terrifying. Is like 20 of them bring you down.
Oh yeah,
very scary.
But here's the thing: they have to jump to get the doorknob. They're gonna have a hard time opening doors at that point.
Way cuter.
Yeah, way cuter though. Way with those little tiny arms. And T-Rexes apparently they were like 9 feet tall. Like they were nowhere near the size of what you had in that fucking movie,
Mikey. Once I learned what I did in the 90s, I stopped learning, and no one could tell me any different anymore.
I think that's why Mythbusters stopped being a show, because they kept ruining. They're like, what do you mean I can't flick a cigarette at a thing of gasoline and have it explode?
Right.
That's when I shut that movie off.
Yeah.
That show.
Movie, yeah. Also, I don't think the two of them got along very well, but yeah.
I can't imagine they would.
No.
They were so different.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I know all about that. Making a decent product, but hating each other behind the scenes.
Oh, God.
So let's move into Jurassic Park on the SNES. Are you ready to do that? That's our game that we're going to be focusing on. Obviously, we wanted a Jurassic Park game, and we have settled on what I believe is the consensus best Jurassic Park game that's out there. We've already gone over tons of the licensed games that we've experienced. Came out October 1st, 1993, developed by Ocean Software. Developers of Retrograde, darling, Jelly Boy.
Jelly Boy.
Jelly Boy.
We are Jelly Babies.
We are Jelly Jelly Baby.
We are Jelly Baby because we like Ocean Software.
We love Ocean Software. And if you haven't heard our Jelly Boy episode, that's probably a year old at this point.
Yeah,
it's
probably something like that.
A while back, but it's also on the SNES Online. If you have a Nintendo Switch, you should go check that one out. We had a ton of fun with that game.
Yeah, we love that
So it bodes well that this seemed like a company that, also did a lot of licensed games, but put some love and care into them. And if you want to listen to those licensed games, go listen to that episode because we went over all of them. We don't need to reiterate that here. Published in the US by Ocean as well, and in Japan by Jellico.
No!
Yes.
Wow! Everything's coming back, eh?
The publishers of last week's episode, Rival Turf, also available on the SNES Online.
Do you think Ocean met Jellico and they're like, hey, we'll do that together? And he's like, Jelly.
Jelly what?
That's a pretty good idea.
They started the game, it was like Jellico. Like, Jelly what?
Jelly what? Jelly
what?
boys?
Jelly,
Jelly
boy? Did
babies?
someone say Jelly Boy? No one said Jelly Boy. Well, I got an idea.
Just a guy eating jelly by a spoon. All these things.
Mike Butters from the Pepsi, Man
games.
Look, if you get that joke, you loved it. But
hey, thanks for following us for so long. If you get that joke,
yeah,
you guys are
exactly.
the best.
Or knowing enough about video games to know who the fuck Mike Butters is. Still an active Twitter account and worth the follow. The gameplay: you are Alan Grant and you're trapped in the park, baby.
Oh no! Again.
That's right. You're trapped in the park again. At a certain, fool me once.
I was going to say, eventually, Alan, this is on you, man.
You're a doctor? Where did you get your doctorate? University of Phoenix?
Hey, another
always the
good
go-to.
punching bag.
Every time someone makes a University of Phoenix joke, Trump University just feels like they dodged a bullet because we should be talking more about that.
We were the most inept.
Also, DeVry, probably.
DeVry. I make Seneca College jokes a lot.
Seneca, that's a local...
I don't think it is, actually.
Isn't Seneca...
I think it's a chain.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You can have chains of universities?
Yeah, DeVry.
But I thought that was just like one central... Is there like a institution for DeVry?
I think we know more about dinosaurs.
I think that's actually probably
we
true.
do about this.
And even with our slanted views of them based on what Spielberg told us.
Oh my God, do we need to go to DeVry now? Is that the only way we're going to learn?
I like the idea that Retrograde takes a swift left turn, and now we're just reviewing courses offered at DeVry.
All right, this episode is about macroeconomics. Crap.
They probably have a course on podcasting at this point,
They probably do.
Most of our listeners are thinking, you could take that.
We'd learn so much.
Hey, by the way, speaking of listeners, before we get into more about the game, I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out. Guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention to our socials, but Good Pods is an app out there. We hit the top 5 on Good Pods
Yes, we
recently,
did.
And we've been getting a lot more reviews coming through, and it's been helping us out tremendously.
Thank
so
you.
a big thank you to everyone taking the time to do that. And I wanted to read out a review today that was left for us, Apple Podcasts, 5 stars. The title, A Great Listen. I agree. I very much agree.
Wow.
From John Terrio via Apple Podcasts. I started following a couple weeks ago, and I've been working my way through their catalog ever since. Mikey and Andrew have a great chemistry together.
Oh.
They're entertaining, funny, and really easy to listen to. Not that easy to listen to, baby.
Why do you have to? Why do you have to turn the screws on these people?
Because I don't like success, Andrew.
Oh my God.
I think this is a great and unique format, especially in the gaming market that's so full of content. I personally recommended this to friends to start at the Mafia episode. It had me in stitches. 8 out of 8 bits. Thanks very much.
Hey, 8 out of 8 bits. Wow, a true listener.
If you want us to shout out your review, go leave that Apple Podcast. If you don't want to leave a review, we're also accepting reviews on Spotify. You can leave us a review out of 5 stars.
Honestly, though, reviews go a long way. So
They
thank
go
you so much for
a
doing
very
that.
long way,
Yeah.
and we really want to put a push there, try to build the community. So thank you very much for everyone doing that. The gameplay of Jurassic Park, as I mentioned, you're Alan Grant. It's a top-down kind of game. You start off with a cattle prod. You get a bunch of different weapons.
Cool.
Every time you go inside a building, it goes to first person.
Oh,
On the SNES, which is really
interesting.
interesting. It's using the classic Mode 7 on the SNES, which really did a lot to advance graphics on the SNES. Used in a lot of games, especially flight games and things where the background could move and the sprites themselves didn't change so much. It gave sort of a 3D effect, which was pretty infamous at the time. The development, this is kind of interesting, going into Ocean and how they got their hands on all this. Ocean paid a 6-figure price in 1993 to license this game.
Wow.
They didn't disclose the exact amount, but that's a lot. You know, you're a video game development company. You've got a big license on your hands. You got to capitalize on it. And the game actually almost died before it was released because a demo came out at the Chicago Consumer Electronics Show where they couldn't make the demo really reflect the graphics of the finished product.
Oh.
So they had the proof of concept focus more on the gameplay, and the graphics looked absolutely terrible. It was
Why show people?
That's the thing, right?
Why show
you think
people?
you have it opposite, but I think you have two companies working on it. One, Ocean being in the UK, and this was being developed in the US. Probably some miscommunication and no one to directly oversee what the demo was going to look like. The game was originally supposed to be out in August. The graphics were horrible, and they just had to put a little bit more work into it. They did by the end of it, but a little bit of a spook for everyone over there in jolly old England.
They go back to the development office and they go, "Hey guys, have you tried working harder? Because that sucked." Here's $1 million idea, okay?
Or a six-figure idea, at least.
At least. And it will not be dead on arrival.
Right.
The case of the game should be a clear orange liquid, that like clear orange plastic.
Oh, I like that.
So you can see the game trapped inside
like
it.
the amber.
Like the amber.
That would be amazing.
Isn't that a good idea?
It would probably cost them so much money. But nowadays
hey, shut up.
Shut up.
Just let me have a good idea.
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Here's another good
Next
idea.
topic.
Here's another good idea.
Yes.
Let's have all the cases gold, made of real gold.
Not a bad idea. For GoldenEye, that would have been a great idea. See? That's how I'm positive to your idea, Mikey.
That's true.
That was a great idea. Thank you very much.
I tried working harder? That's the question. Nope, never in my life. No, thank you. So Steven Spielberg was somewhat involved, on the sidelines in this development of the video game, and he wanted it to be groundbreaking.
But it seems like Spielberg was involved in a lot of the game's version of his movies. He's a big video game guy.
He reminds me a little bit of, and he even made a video game called Boom Blocks, I think it was, on the Nintendo Wii. So he's always been fascinated by the industry. He reminds me a bit of a guy like James Cameron, who is as into the movies themselves as he is in the technology around the movies.
Yes.
And the storytelling via music, via external sources like a video game to sort of inform the movie-going experience as well.
Yeah. You know what's great about that comparison?
What's that?
Both men would hate it.
To being compared to one another?
Like if you told Jim Cameron, you're like, you're a lot like Steven Spielberg, he'd be like, oh my God. If you told Steven Spielberg, who's a lot like you, Jim Cameron, then he'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake.
That's a very good point. Two very different directors, but two sides of the same coin.
No, but I think you're right, though.
I think so.
Like, I think they take a lot of pride in being able to do, like Spielberg, look back at his genres of stuff like that. It's a bad bit genre, but is that, it's that mostly that like, he's like, oh, I'll do a musical, then a drama, then we'll do Schindler's List, and I'll do Jurassic Park. And
right.
Then I'll do, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Just challenging himself all the time.
A guy who just constantly change, like not doing what like a Tarantino or a Scorsese do. Scorsese maybe a little bit earlier on.
Sure.
But nowadays it's almost just like, well, he's got what he's good at and he's just going to stick to doing
I love
that.
doing that, and that's really good. Yeah, no, it's that's a good point.
So it turns out, him being involved in the games, he was pretty demanding over what he would accept from a licensed game.
Sure.
So he wanted to make sure it was groundbreaking. And say what you will about this sort of situation, but it turns out when you have someone who doesn't really know that much about video games, but is used to getting what they want and demanding a lot out of people, usually, or at least sometimes, it works out to everyone's benefit. Like, think about Madden.
Yeah.
It took someone who didn't understand the limitations of the medium, demanding more out of the medium and saying, you don't do it, I'm not giving you my name. Find a way to get it done.
Yeah, or you get somebody else that's like not familiar with video games,
right? Like
John Madden,
yes,
and going like, well, don't do it like every other game. Do it like this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And having no experience actually helped him, which is such an odd thing.
Sort of rewriting the vocabulary.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it's miserable to work under those people.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
But I like it.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, because I benefit from it.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing. Everyone's always talking about how hard people work in the video game industry and how they should like do. I mean, I know this is a bad word, and I know I'm going to upset you when I say this, Andrew, but like unions.
He said it. Yeah.
How about
socialist over here?
How about unionovation? That's
absolutely.
what I want.
Yeah,
and you ain't going to get that with no Jimmy Hoffa types storming around here. Bury him in a bucket of cement.
Yeah,
why
we think
don't
so.
you?
Yeah.
And then build a park over that cement and call it Jurassic World.
Oh, that's where Jimmy Hoffa's buried?
That's where he's buried.
Oh, Jurassic Park. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh,
and that's why the dinosaurs revolt. The spirit of Jimmy Hoffa is like, you guys aren't being treated properly here. Find a way out. Unionize.
And you know what was so much easier than unionizing those dinosaurs?
What?
Sinking the island.
Sinking the island was way easier.
It costs us too much money for these things unionized.
Exactly. Talk about sunken costs, am I right?
Hey, yo.
Yeah. Hoffasaurus Rex over there just leading.
He's the brontosaurus on the dock.
There was just a couple interesting tidbits of information on this. There was a death scene which involved Dr. Alan Grant getting eaten by a T-Rex.
Jesus Christ.
And it included bone crunching sounds. And Nintendo was like, hey guys, maybe dial it back a little bit. We're going to have children playing this game.
Also, can Alan Grant's blood be green?
Yeah.
that
Mortal
okay?
Kombat style.
Yeah.
It's okay if you lift his head off of his shoulders and his spine follows, but make the blood green.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is that canonical that the dinosaur's blood is green?
Is it green in that? I think it might be.
Wait, actually?
I feel like I've seen green blood in those movies.
Oh, God.
I'm definitely wrong.
Oh, no, it's the guy it's the one that spits acid.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
There we
thinking.
go. We got there.
We got there. There was also an Easter egg in the game, and it was kind of part of a competition. I always like stories like this.
Okay.
When video games are trying to innovate and kind of have these alternate reality instances where you interact outside of the game, you had to collect 8 letters that were hidden around the park and unscramble them for a secret letter and a secret word. And in this one, it was Dr. Horner who was involved in the creation of Jurassic Park. Someone played the game for 10 hours after release. 2 days later, submitted his answer and won a $5,000 check.
$5,000?
$5,000.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Would you cash that check if you got it, knowing you wouldn't get the check back? Or would you frame it up?
Photocopy, frame that, cash the check.
Man,
$5,000 is a lot of money.
This is the 90s, though. Photocopies cost a lot of money.
I go to Kinko's, which were on every street corner. Do you remember Kinko's?
I do remember Kinko's.
Yeah.
It's like someone was bringing a Kinko's store to a Kinko's,
right,
copying them and putting them on every store corner.
Is it illegal to photocopy a check? It's like destroying money? I don't even know.
If you void it or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. $5,000 is a lot of money, especially in the 90s.
Yes,
that's like $2 million now or whatever.
That's almost enough seed money.
With inflation. Oh my God, am I right? Inflation?
Oh, inflation.
Oh, God.
Here's the thing.
What?
To the economy, I say this. Stop.
Yeah, right?
Stop inflating.
Just stop it.
Here's the thing. Another of the things.
Okay.
I like basketball.
Okay.
Before I go play basketball, what do I do to the ball?
You inflate it.
And if it gets too inflated, guess what I do?
You berate it. You say stop.
I say stop.
Stop.
I say stop it.
Stop it. And it goes... It's very sad.
It goes, sorry.
It's okay.
Reviews of this game, surprisingly good, especially for a licensed game. Ocean Software doing the yeoman's work. We got CVG with an 87%, EGM 7.25, Total giving it an 84, and GamePro getting paid off with a 4.5 again.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
GamePro coming in
Almost
clutch.
surprised that it wasn't a 5.
The magazine I read as a kid too, GamePro. I'm now like, oh, so it's all propaganda?
Yeah.
Oh.
But most magazines were, I think,
that's
at
true.
the time. So that's
at the time.
At the time. Still now. Well, no, because magazines don't exist anymore.
Oh, fair enough. Right. Yes, we killed print. Yeah, good.
So we haven't played the game, Andrew, right?
No.
You never played this game. I never played this game. Usually what we would do is give it its retro score based on our memory of it. But because we don't have any experience with that, we're going to go straight into the gameplay.
I love this idea.
Which you can, if you're going to join us over at Patreon, we'll see you over there. Instructions on how to do that will take place in between the break. But I've said enough.
I think we've said enough.
I've said so much that I want to stop talking forever.
You know what's funny? I think I've only said half of the amount I want to say.
Okay, so let's continue.
Let's continue after this gameplay break.
Okay, we will see you in 2 shakes of a T-Rex's tail.
That's a deadly shake.
Just a reminder that you can now find our gameplay segments where we play through a portion of today's game and provide video commentary while doing it over on our Patreon, patreon.com/the Retrograde Podcast. Join the Mushroom Club for $5 US per month for access to all the gameplay, plus 2 to 4 bonus episodes per month where we do things like character drafts, top 10 lists, and even take some suggestions from our community. So show some support to the podcast by joining the Mushroom Club at patreon.com/the Retrograde Podcast for access to bonus content and all of our gameplay segments. We'll see you guys on the other side.
And welcome back to the Retrograde.
Well, we're back. We found our way back.
We did. We were in the 4th bottom basement, and then we didn't have our ID card, Mikey.
We didn't have our ID card.
What a relatable work experience that is.
You get all the way into the office.
and you tap your pockets. You blew up a couple dinosaurs.
Yes. So many dinosaurs. You blew them up with a Ebola gun. It was an expected day in the office. Absolutely. But you know what wasn't expected? This never happens to me. I got all the way to the bottom of the raptor pen, and I forgot my ID. Wouldn't you believe it?
Oh, my God. They're like, you need Alan Grant's ID card. And we are screaming, going, we're Alan Grant.
Like, what? So let's go bare dinosaur bones here. This game is initially, I'm thinking this could be pretty cool.
Yes.
It seems like it's almost like a Link to the Past kind of thing, Zelda style, where you go pick up more weapons and you kill a couple baddies, solve some puzzles, this and that. But it is way more straightforward, I think, and streamlined than what I would have expected. All of the veneer of innovation in this game gets stripped away so quickly through repetition. When you start off, it's like I said, it's kind of that isometric sort of view. You're Dr. Alan Grant, you're running around, use a cattle prod to open up an electric door. That's cool.
That's cool.
Puzzle solving,
I like that.
Picking up some more weapons. You go into a building and it turns into first person mode. Your first thoughts?
Cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Looks cool.
Cool. Like it.
Dinosaurs in your face. I'm assuming it's going to function like every other first-person game. My mistake.
Yeah.
Because you open the door, there's a raptor there.
Yep.
You try to kill it, and it's all up in your guts right away.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just, there's no escaping this thing. We first made it into the first-person area with no weapon other than the cattle prod. Those things are designed for cattle.
Yeah.
They ain't designed.
Or little dinosaurs.
Or little dinos. So we were just kind of getting our face was getting chomped off as we were trying to explode a dino with a cattle prod, and it wasn't so easy.
Yeah.
Then we kind of got the hang of it a little bit. And that was, I think, the worst part of the game, was finally figuring out, it went from a very difficult area.
Yeah.
Inside where there's dinosaurs everywhere to realizing that all the enemies are pretty much gated. You can kind of expect there to be a raptor right in your face when you open up a door, so ready up a rocket.
They always were behind doors.
Right. Always.
It's almost like they knew that was the only opportunity they got.
Clever girl.
Clever girl.
They knew. But then once you understand that, like, you kill the first dinosaur, the other ones are just kind of like waiting for you to get close enough. You just pick them off. Like, that sniper rifle's a rocket launcher all of a sudden.
Yep.
The weapons we got: cattle prod, rocket launcher, bola, sleep dart kind of thing.
Gas launcher thing that we didn't use.
Yeah. Smoke grenade launcher. Interesting that they're trying the innovation there, but I think this probably just came at a time when they expected video games to be destruction and combat of some kind, right?
Yeah.
So you're just slaughtering dinosaurs.
Which
feels not quite what the Jurassic Park movie
No, I don't
was,
remember
right?
Alan Grant just showing up and murdering a bunch of dinosaurs.
Right. They kind of have an affinity to, even though they're scared, they still know that they're like, there's something special in the fact that these are dinosaurs.
I'm a doctor. I don't want to go in and kill all my creation. It's like they didn't fundamentally understand what Jurassic Park was in the first place.
Right.
It's funny. What was the game that we played? It's a really stupid title, so I forget. But where you're like a statue and a angel.
ActRaiser.
It's kind of like that, where there are two elements of this game that are different but play off each other.
Yes.
And so you're walking around with this over the top view. And if the whole game was that, it would have been boring. But it was kind of cool. And they're like, oh, there's another whole side where you're in first person.
Right.
And you're like, this is cool. Oh no, it's not.
But it's just very stale. I mean, it's so much just a technological proof of concept that I can understand how Steven Spielberg's there on the sidelines saying we need to innovate, and they show him a first-person view on the SNES, and he's probably like, this is innovation. This is what I meant. But he probably never fucking played the game.
Yeah,
he's just like, this looks great. We'll see in post. Yeah, exactly.
It is and looks like Doom. Like, it's that style of moving around, except Doom feels like tactile. Like there's like a feel to it. Whereas this one, you're like floating around.
Yes.
Like you don't have feet. You're also in this weird vision, like you're having goggles on or something.
Yeah, I don't know why they did
that.
Yeah. I think maybe just to, I don't know. I can't imagine Alan Grant is going in there and putting on goggles. I mean, the night vision portions make sense.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
It was kind of cool. And again, though, functionally the same, except you need night vision to get into that area, but functionally it plays the same as every other area. So it is just another proof of concept, like a technological advancement. But is it fun to play? I'm going to say no across the board. I almost think they would have been better off keeping it one or the other.
Yes, I agree with you.
And the one that I'm thinking is the over-the-top bird's eye view, because I can imagine some of that puzzle solving would have been fun and way more in line with what Jurassic Park felt like.
Yeah, it looked more like a down over the top view, like Pokemon or Zelda or something like that. Like that kind of like just off slightly.
Yes, the isometric view.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And like when the raptors would come out of the forest and stuff like that, that was
scary.
Scary.
Well, there was the raptors. There was the giant T-Rex that I slaughtered in one rocket, and everyone was so impressed. Like it was. I mean, that 4 out of 4 bits. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's there were retro score.
4 bits of T-Rex all over my shoes after I shot that thing. I don't know though. Like we played it a decent chunk of time, and I almost don't have anything to say about it.
No, the music was weird.
Yeah. It was more like the music was almost Joe and Mac. It was like,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
it's like you just picked up a mask in Crash Bandicoot.
It felt like more like music from Jumanji.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And I thought the colors were really cool in the isometric view. Then when they got to the first person view, they're like turquoise and like all these
Yes.
weird. I'm like, what the hell is this? It doesn't feel like anything is real.
It felt like two different games. And to be fair, I kind of understand maybe them missing the tone a little bit, because when you're developing a licensed game, and I'm imagining especially based on a movie that's as high profile as Jurassic Park, similar to Star Wars, they probably only give you a limited number of assets that you can work with. I know that they had some stills from the game, from the movie that they sort of incorporated into the game. They would see some proofs of concept and this and that. So maybe they didn't know that it was going to be the tone that the movie ended up being. Maybe they were just visually trying to make a dinosaur combat game, much like Dino Crisis. But I don't know that they succeed in any particular way, because everything feels diluted.
Yeah.
And I applaud them for trying to innovate on a licensed property as opposed to just releasing a game with a license knowing it's going to sell items regardless. But at the end of it, I just felt so underwhelmed.
Yeah.
The whole general idea is you go collect these key cards all over the place and get from point A to point B and eventually find your way outside of Jurassic Park, and you have to do it all in one go.
Or you get further into Jurassic Park. Like, that was never clear, but I think it's like we're getting ID cards that are like higher security so we can get further into the park.
Well, eventually it's so that you can escape the park. That's the underlying thing.
But Mikey,
Yes.
what is the first thing we did in the game?
We went right into the park.
We went into the park. We went
Into
through
the
the
park.
front gate.
In fact, we had to jimmy the front
Cattle
door
prod.
with a cattle prod in order to get in there.
I
feel like
be
that's
so great
dangerous.
if we showed up originally and then I'm like, oh, do I not have my cattle
prod?
I forgot it in the car.
Forgot it in the Jeep.
You just
the
get
Jeep.
the Jeep.
The
Yes,
Jeep.
absolutely, very
Yeah.
good. Yeah. You're right. It's weird. The colors, the music, I don't know. It looked like Alan Grant. How about that?
Well, because he had a hat on.
Yeah, the little hat and the little handkerchief.
And here's one thing I will say.
Please.
Alan Grant's got hops.
Mhm.
And when he jumps, I'm thinking, now that's the Alan Grant I knew.
You know what? I will say the animation of him jumping and the animation of him picking up is very good.
Adorable.
I know that's so stupid.
Adorable.
But the actual, when you pick up stuff, they usually just press a button and you inherit it.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
through osmosis.
Yes.
It is absorbed into
Your
your body.
father dies and you inherit it.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's part of the will and then double taxation,
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
But it's this one, you actually had a little animation like pick up. Like
Yeah.
his leg comes out like a golfer trying to pick up a ball out of a hole.
And you can do it whether there's anything to pick up or not. The pick
Yes.
up button makes you bend over regardless of whether or not there's anything to actually pick up.
Mikey
which is
saw
cute.
flowers and he went to go pick them up. It was very cute.
It was very cute. Didn't let me do it. So I just stayed there smelling the roses. I took a little break.
You should, as you should.
As you should. I also I appreciated the fact that the environment was varied enough from the inside to the outside. I can imagine if you just spent your entire time in Jurassic Park as we know it, you wouldn't really see much that different from moment to moment in this game. One thing that worries me, we didn't get this far because we didn't beat the game, but one thing that worries me about it is you have to beat it all in one go.
Yeah.
There's no saving, which means it's probably a pretty short game if you can get from point A to point B, B being the end, without dying. Point A to point Z, probably.
Okay.
Would have been a better
Alpha
way to
to
say it.
Omega.
Alpha to Omega. But I don't think that necessarily makes it well balanced. I think it's
No.
probably made a little bit harder at points to sort of suck the life out of you, like this game felt like it was doing for the entirety when we were playing it, so that you're not always going to make it to the end. But one thing I want to be clear on in this, when we got the hang of the internal areas, the inside areas, and we were just walking our way through, and as long as we played it smart, we were in no real danger, and we were exploring, that is a feeling I really, really like in video games.
Yep.
It's a feeling I attribute to games like Dark Souls, where once you get the hang of the formulas and stuff like that, exploring the different areas at your own pace, if you're doing it slowly, really feels like you're taking everything in and moving a step at a time, but slowly mapping out the area in your head and understanding the environment that you're in. That exploration is super rewarding. The problem with this one is all the halls look exactly the same.
Yeah.
All the doors look exactly the same. So when you get somewhere, like we spent 15 minutes exploring this one inside area, got to the end of it, and there was just nothing there. We're like, I guess we missed a door somewhere, but who the fuck knows where? There's no map to tell us which way to go. And that's when we finally got to the end of it and didn't have the key card. And we're like, So now we just have to traipse through these hallways, get all the way back to the outside, which are identical.
Yeah.
There's nothing rewarding about finding a new doorway. There's a time tax every time you enter an elevator. And I know we're complaining a lot about this, but like, I feel like I kind of have to because everyone else seems to really like this game. And I'm not saying that that's a reason why I have to dislike it, but like, someone shed some light on the fact that just because this is a passable licensed game does not mean it's a good licensed game.
Yeah, but that only speaks to how bad licensed games were.
That's very true.
What I mean?
That's very true.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you, and I'd like to speak more about it, but I think it's time for our reviews.
Let's do our reviews. So as we mentioned before the break, usually we give the games a rating out of 4 bits based on our memory of the game when we were growing up. Because we don't have any experience playing this game, Andrew, you're going to give this game a rating out of 4 bits based on what you think you would have thought of it had you played it back in 1993 as a little baby boy sitting cross-legged with his dinosaur soup bowl, but cereal in it.
Oh, okay.
And then, you're eating a bunch of cereal with one hand and your other 2 hands, you're playing the video game and your mom's watching you just shaking her head.
Yeah.
I'm just painting a picture.
My poor octopus child. What did I do? Why did I have to make the deal with the devil?
You've heard of Octo Mom? How about Octo Andrew?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here's Octo Andrew's review of a game we didn't play, but what I would have thought as a kid. I would have liked this game. I was kind of hiding this a little bit, but I think I would have liked this game. This was, not only did we say we were dinosaur children.
Yes.
This was a movie that I really loved and also felt very adult at the time. 1993, I would have been 7 years old.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. But I could just get through it enough. It was just scary enough that I would have enjoyed it.
Yes.
Instead of like, I cannot watch this movie.
Right.
So I loved it. And I would have liked this game. Even with its flaws and all, I think I would have felt powerful. Whereas like something that I feel in my current score where it got really easy really fast, I think I would have liked that as a kid. Where I'm like, ooh, killed a dinosaur.
Yep.
Oh, killed a dinosaur.
Yep.
And I think that would have had, less, the returns would have been just as good as you go through it.
Right.
So I really would have liked this game, but you know what? There were a lot of games I liked a lot more than this. But I am going to give it a 3 out of 4.
Nice. I actually completely agree with you.
Well,
on
I
this.
didn't think that. Really?
I do.
Oh,
no,
wow.
I do because I loved Jurassic Park. I loved dinosaurs. And one thing that I'm learning that I know about myself after having, been on this podcast for 4 years.
Yes, you have.
Is, I have, unfortunately, for the listener. Yeah. Is that there were a lot of games as a kid that I valued because of form over function. And I wasn't alone in that. A lot of people were. If you gave me first-person perspective on the SNES at this time, and you let me kill the dinosaurs that everyone in the movie was so afraid of, you give me that power trip of like, give me a rocket launcher and a bola gun and this and that, and I would be able to figure my way through it. Taking down enemies that are kind of like more scary than enemies in a game like Contra.
Okay.
But doing it much easier. That power fantasy and then the element of first person would have really done a lot for me, especially because I'm in Jurassic Park. I know I'm Alan Grant. My imagination now needs a little bit more because I'm used to more high fidelity video games.
Yeah.
So back in the day, if you tell me I'm Alan Grant, I believe I'm Alan
100%.
Grant. And you got the kid talking to you, and every time you have these pop-ups where like the kids will tell you, hey, don't shock these dinosaurs, they might stampede, things like that. I would have been all in. Yeah. I really would have enjoyed it. Now, would I have played it to completion? I don't know. I feel like this may have been a rental for me. Again, I was playing games at the time. I liked Jurassic Park, and in spite of that, for some reason, I didn't play this game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be a little bit more reserved. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 4.
Okay.
But I think it would have been a very enjoyable 2.5 for me at that time.
Okay, so a 5.5 out of 8 together. In fact, higher than I thought we'd get.
Yeah.
Higher than I thought we'd get. And higher than this we'll get, because here's our current reviews on what we thought of the game. This game's kind of rubbish. Like, it's just, there's kind of no way around it.
Yeah.
It's, neither are very satisfying, and they really need to be both pretty good to rely on it being interesting at all. There's a lot of similarities between this and Rival Turfs. Let me get to it.
Okay.
It's because initially you're like, hey, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And then almost 10 minutes later, you're like, oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
More of this, eh? And even though I do appreciate the slashing of the guns, like there are many different ways of doing this, and I can maybe get away from the fact that this fundamentally doesn't understand what the hell Jurassic Park was in the first place.
Right.
It wasn't like going in and killing as many dinosaurs as possible, and that's they make it Ian Malcolm too. They didn't make it like Sergeant John whatever.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we've evacuated all the scientists. Time to kill these dinosaurs.
Yes.
You're like, oh, okay, I guess so. And that feels nitpicky, but at the same time, people are buying it for Jurassic Park because there's Jurassic Park on the title. And then you completely go, yeah, it's not really about Jurassic Park. It's about a game with dinosaurs.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, cool. The first person view is just not good.
Right.
And I wonder how much fun you can have if you love Jurassic Park and go into this game. I'm not going to give this the lowest score of all time, but I'm going to give it a 1.5.
A 1.5 seems fair and apt because there's a lot of games that we've played that kind of have a proof of concept and fail at it. This one, with the variation in what it is that you're doing from moment to moment, I think warrants a little bit more recognition than something like, say, Top Gun.
Sure.
Where it has that field perspective. It's from the NES, so obviously a less powerful console, but it's trying to give you that sense of being in a cockpit. It tries and it fails. I think similarly, Jurassic Park tries and fails, but is more playable at the same time. Even if it's easy, even if it's a plod, like I think about the idea of going to another internal set piece in this game in first person and it being 15 minutes before I can find my way through it. And it just, every time I think about maybe I'll pick up this game again, I'm like, if I find myself at the entrance to a building, I'm not going in, and I refuse to play that. Because of that, I'm giving this one a 1.5 as well out of 4. I wanted to give it slightly more than something like Top Gun, which I gave a 1 to in the retro score, because I think that it does try a little bit more to be innovative. Yeah, it just fails in the modern day at that.
That's a good way of comparing it. I agree. It is like 0.5 better than Top Gun.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely. So that combined is an 8.5 out of 16. That's a pretty high score, actually.
I think that's a pretty high score.
Yeah.
You know, not as high, I think, as some people want to remember. People remember this game very, very, I'm going to say nostalgically. You know, I don't think they're remembering it for being good. I think they remember thinking it was good when they played it as a younger kid. But that's what we're here to explore on the Retrograde podcast.
Absolutely. We're our own archaeologist of retro video games.
Oh, Andrew, Dr. Grant himself.
Thank you very much.
And who would I be?
You're Ian Malcolm, I guess.
I'm Ian Malcolm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think you are the Jeff Goldblum of this podcast.
Oh,
lanky and tall, always dressed very finely.
Weird pictures of me strangling women at bars.
Dating really young women.
Really young women. Actually, my partner is way older than me.
Cool.
Yeah, she's a cradle robber. She's 7 months older than me.
Whoa, disgusting.
It's gross.
Okay, well, time to go. Here we go. Got to go to this award ceremony.
Let's go to the award ceremony. I'll see you there, Andrew. I'm going to erase you there.
Okay.
You've been waiting for it all year. The most glamorous award ceremony of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grady's.
Okay, here we are.
Hello.
The glitz, the glamour, the T-Rex, the hammer.
Hammond.
Okay,
I tried my best there. I'm not a skilled rapper like you and Chet Hanks.
Give me 2 rhymes right now.
No.
Rhyme roses with something.
Roses, see, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at
I thought for a second you had DeRozan on your shirt, but it's not DeRozan.
Scotty
Barnes. Yeah.
Scotty Barnes, Rookie of the Year.
Rhyme. Hey, I grew up on a farm.
And we raised a few barns.
We raised barns?
Yeah, that's what you do. You isn't that building them? See, Mikey, I told you I wasn't good at this. And then it's like, hey, do you not like this thing? I'll have a couple spoonfuls of it.
Do it.
No.
It's exposure therapy,
I
Andrew.
just told you.
What if you
let me live my truth.
Okay, fine.
Okay. That's
truth.
Elliot showing out safari gear completely top to bottoms, except he's made them shorts and cut off sleeves.
Of course he did, though. But wouldn't you with his body?
I honestly
driving up here in his Jeep Wrangler.
We're lucky you're wearing anything at all.
Or unlucky.
Oh, yeah, because you see that hot body. I think that's workplace harassment. You are technically his boss.
Right, but he's bringing it on himself dressing like that.
Oh, my God.
And that's how the rules work. Yeah, just ask Chet.
Yeah, ask Chet. I don't know if I want to ask Chet many things, to be honest.
Hey, Elliot, why don't you reach into that glove compartment and show us what award, grab the envelope and show us what awards this game won.
Absolutely. He was looking. He was trying to find in which pocket. So many pockets, right?
So many pockets. Yeah. He left him in the glove compartment. Not an award that this game won. It got crickets. It didn't win any awards. Yeah. Crickets. Did you know this is actually true? Crickets have been around longer than the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Is that true?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Because that's like the one I always hear is like sharks are older than trees.
Yes.
And I'm always like, sure. Like, okay. Like, what am I supposed to do with this information? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
people always say they're like, yo-yos were a war tool. And you're like, I can't imagine that's true. Are you going to walk the dog at the enemy?
Yeah.
Cat's cradle? Is you just
Cat's
distracting
cradle?
them
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
guy running in there with the
whoa.
drums?
Yes. Oh, God. Yeah, there's so many of that information. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
But they have to act like it's like the most mind-blowing thing you've ever heard in your life. So we're older than trees. Okay.
Trees, I'm assuming you're correct, and that's just what I do with all my information. I accept it at face value.
Absolutely.
Don't question anything.
Yeah. That's why YouTube's really popular, not only for the Retrograde, for just in general. Just
Yes.
accept whatever people say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Subscribe to the Retrograde. Listen to
Okay,
me.
so as customary, we receive 2 awards that are for this game when they don't win some of our standard ones
Over
from
here,
Elliot.
Elliot, pass it to me.
Okay.
Catch.
Nice catch. All right. Okay, here's mine. All right. So, all right, I got mine. This is the Half-Eaten Lawyer Award.
Half-Eaten Lawyer Award.
What the hell?
What does that
Half-Eaten
mean?
Lawyer Award. Okay, absolutely. It was something that was so cool at the time, but seems so boring now. You know what's so funny?
Okay.
That is so true, because when that happened, I remember being a kid and everyone going like, the lawyer,
Yeah,
on
exactly.
a toilet got
Yeah.
eaten.
Yeah.
And now if they did that in 2022, you're like, well, yeah.
Well, I don't think they could. You know why?
Why's
The
that?
lawyers wouldn't let it happen.
No, exactly.
They'd be the ones that the T-Rex is afraid of. Are you kidding me?
We need to scratch a goat joke on page 6, and you're like, why? No, absolutely. I
No,
just
yeah,
can't get.
we need to scratch a goat on page 6.
Well, they did feed goats to those things.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah, I don't know. I always just thought that was the laziest joke, and but people at the time,
They
oh
loved
my
it. People
God,
hated
so
lawyers.
funny.
Throw away all the lawyers. Who
Yeah, wasn't it Newman? It was Newman, right? That got eaten in the toilet on the toilet.
Was it? Was
Yeah.
he the lawyer?
I think it was another guy was the lawyer, but he
Yes.
got half eaten on the toilet.
Yes.
Very funny.
Yes. Very funny.
Very funny.
Oh, that was amazing. I've got my envelope.
Okay, I'd love to
All
hear
right.
it.
Oh, okay. This is a very interesting
Oh,
award.
I hope so.
And will probably require some explanation for some reason.
But why?
It's the not unlike most weeks.
Okay.
This is the life finds a new way to play games, and it ain't that great.
Oh, good toss. There we go. Life finds a way.
Award.
I'm surprised that expression hasn't come up yet.
What?
Life finds a way.
I did. It came up in the intro.
It did. You're absolutely right. I was definitely listening. So that was Jurassic Park. I don't know. Are you going to see Dominion?
No.
Okay.
I didn't finish
There we
the first. I didn't finish Jurassic World. I didn't watch the second one.
You didn't even get to the end of the
I
first movie?
couldn't, Andrew. It was so bad. I couldn't believe, like, the musical cues are like, like here's a joke, and it's like the flute, like, like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, the trombone, of course. There's something
Yeah,
disappointing
the
happens.
T-Rex farts, and it's like, wah, wah.
But you missed Jimmy Buffett running away with 2 margaritas.
Is that a thing?
Yes. So all the pterodactyls, if anyone corrects me, get fucked. Like, but the pterodactyls come over the top, and they're now like going down the concourse of all the restaurants and stuff at Jurassic Park. And Jimmy Buffett's one of the guys running away, like, oh, he's holding 2 margaritas.
I like that. I like
Love it.
that. That's great.
I think there is a Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville on Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, which, you know what? Absolutely, there would be.
Amazing.
For sure. There should be like a Toby Keith, I love his bar and grill, and a TGI Fridays.
Well, how about a shout out to Toronto's own Jurassic Park, where the fans gather
yes.
to watch the Toronto Raptors play basketball outside of Scotiabank.
There you go. Outside of the arena. Yeah, that's our Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Is the Toronto Raptors. By the way, our home team, our basketball team, was named the Toronto Raptors because they came into inception in 1996, and
Yes.
everyone had Jurassic Park fever.
100%.
1995.
It's a
Yeah.
great name though.
Yes. Oh, it is a great name. It
And
is-
I like that you're wearing a Raptor shirt
I
today.
am. That was intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So we played
I hope
Jurassic
you're not
Park.
wearing that next week.
No promises. I'm a little tight on shirts. So,
That's interesting because shirts are tight on me, baby.
oh yeah, I gotta show the muscles. So that's Jurassic Park. If you watch Dominion, if you have thoughts of this game, if you have any thoughts about Jurassic Park, man, there's a lot to talk about with Jurassic Park, so we want to hear from you.
Oh, yeah.
At Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy. But more than anything, thanks so much. We love every single one of you, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Bascom, and with me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over.
Want more Retrograde in your life?
You can visit our website for show notes at theretrogradepod.com. Follow us on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy, and the podcast at Retrograde Pod.
Or Instagram at the Retrograde Podcast.
For bonus episodes, check us out at patreon.com/theretrograde podcast.
Send your questions and business inquiries to the retrogradepodcast at gmail.com.
See you next week, D-pads.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Not bad.